Well, hey folks, Fat Guy Flies RC coming to you from the man cave. If you watch the unboxing and the basic build of the FMS Avanti 70mm, now we're going to do the radio setup. Now I've already chosen a receiver and I've already worked out the CG, but we will talk about that in a moment. That stuff's can be kind of tedious and I don't want to bore you. I'll just show you how to do it. I've already mounted. I'm choosing a Lemon RX Gen 2 receiver mounted right there. Okay. Got my antennas running 90 degrees. One is looped and taped right here to the side, the signal part. And the other one's going back and it's further down. That way they're at 90 degrees. And got where I've got my battery going to be. I have hooked up no linkages. And there's nothing in the transmitter. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'll show you how we do that. Let me move the camera just a little bit. All right, you got your transmitter here. Now this is an NX10 Spectrum. Okay, and we're going to add a new model. I'm sorry, I'm close to the camera, so I'll try not have to remember when I'm away from the camera to speak up. When I'm close to the camera, don't talk so loud. Okay, you're going to create it. Okay. Model type, obviously, yes, it's an airplane. Okay, model name. Now this is where I'm going to name it FMS space A. Sorry. Okay, go back to A. V A N T I space S. Then we're going to want to space this again. Okay. 70 MM. Okay, so we've named it the Avanti S, FMS Avanti S 70mm. Okay, you hit back. Back again. Aircraft type. Now, it's important you have a Y that's in that multi-control board. It does not have reflex, by the way. Multi-control board. One signal for both flaps to make one signal. The servos go in for one signal. Ailerons are the same way. So the way you're going to pick your wing is going to be one aileron and one flap, because that's since you've got one signal. Now go ahead and pick your image. Your image, man, what you want to look like while you're here. And that's, I guess we'll go with the Habu looking one. There you go. All right, now we got the basic setup, okay? While you're here, because one of the most important things, go ahead, pick your throttle cut. Highlight it, and then pick whatever switch. Watch, I'm going to move the H, but watch it on the screen there. Automatically switches H, and that way I know that's my throttle cut. And also, I'm going to go ahead and hit this button here.
Volume 100.
And take it up to 100. So now I have the basic profile of the plane picked up. So now, and I've got my battery here, so I'm going to plug the battery in. I love the fact that these Lemon RX Gen 2s have a bind button. Hold the bind button down until it starts to flash. See, it's flashing now. And it'll flash until you bind. Go back to my receiver, or my transmitter. Bind. Yes. Bind.
Binding. DSMX 22 milliseconds.
Look at there. We have connection. All move. Okay.
Complete.
Bind complete. Hey, look, my gears work. The light underneath works. Okay? That light there works. Hey, we have communication. So now we can put our hatch back on. I hear servos working, but nothing's moving because nothing's hooked up. But because all my servos are now centered, now is a great time to hook everything up. Once everything is centered, and you can leave the model like that. All right, let's start with our rudder. Okay, we know, move the camera back just a touch so you can see what I'm doing with the rudder. Oh, sorry. Gotta remember, when it comes to man cave stuff, I'm a one-man show. So I have to, we're actually gonna put this up on a stand so that you can see it a little bit easier. All right, the rudder is fairly, and I think it's fairly centered already naturally. And all these control arms, let me make sure, I think they're all the same exact length. Yes, they are. That makes life so much easier. All right, I'm going to start with my rudder. Okay? The instructions say what position. They're probably going to give you specific positions they want to put it in. But let's see what it says. Just to be on the side, let's put it the way the manual says. Okay. Usually these are on one page or the other. Okay. It's on page 10 of the English part. For clevis installation, for the rudder is going to be the outermost hole, which is already picked on the control arm, and the outermost hole on the rudder arm. Okay, for the rudder. Ailerons, elevator is outermost hole on the control surface, and for the aileron, and then the second one in for the control arm from the servo. Okay, and then, but we're going to do rudder right now. So rudder is outer and outer. Okay, so the furthest one out on the control arm for the control surface, and then the outermost hole on the rudder servo. Hook that in there, and I'm going to lay that down on there. Okay. All right, now it's hanging off too far. Okay, you see how the gray part is further back? So that's great. I'd rather have it be too long than too short. So that means I'm going to screw in that ball link until it sits on there nice, and I'm going to hold the rudder in place, almost there. And that's what you do. You just screw them in, you screw that clevis in and out until it sits on that ball link, just sits on there nice, and I put it on there and it kind of pushes the rudder off a little bit. So I'm going to do it one more time. Okay, tighten it up a little bit. I'm going to set it on there, and if I put a little pressure on there and it keeps that rudder centered, still push it off a little bit. So one more turn. Okay, and look, that is perfect. So now I like where that's at. Take me a pair of pliers, hold one end, and then just kind of plop that on there. Now, and the nice thing about that, mechanically and visually, that's nice and trimmed. It came right back to center. So now I don't have to worry about, it's now mechanically trimmed. Let's go ahead and turn it over. Address our elevators while we got it back here at the tail. Okay. You know what, that might sit more flat, and that can in there if I take the canopy off. Try that again. Yeah, that's better. All right. Move everything forward a little bit, that way you can see what I'm doing. All right. Got my elevator. Grab two of my arms. Says for the elevator, outermost hole, which is already picked on the control surface, and the second hole in on the control arm off of the servo. So second one in. Hook that in there. I'm going to hold. Pay attention to where your rudder lines up with the frame. Put your finger on there, hold it in place, and then put that ball link clevis connection. And it's way too long, so I'm going to have to, once again, I'd rather tighten it up than have to try to extend it. Because you can tighten up almost not really indefinitely, but quite a bit. But you can only go so far out. All right. Hold that in place. That looks pretty good right there. Yeah, that looks pretty level there. Well, you know what? I'm going to go one more. What I like to do is take a flat edge here. You want to hold your arm to where it doesn't break out of the elevator. Yeah. All right. Pop that off of there. Tighten up one more time. I'm a bit of, okay, that's nice. What I'm looking for is the frame here to line up with the end of the control surface. And that looks, got it on there. That looks pretty good. All right, flanker that down. I'll do the same thing to the other side, which I second hole in, which I want to put my head in the camera, sorry, in order to, okay. I'm going to hold that in place and place that on there. Now it's too long, so once again, right to tight, left to loose. So right, try that. One more time. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, now, there, I've got them. Both the elevators are now hooked up. Okay? And what I'm looking for, I wanted those, when I connected, that everything stays linear. Okay. And actually it's going the right way. So that's good too. All right, so now, got our elevator and our rudder hooked up. Pay attention now to our, I'm missing two control rods. Where's my flat control rods at? No, they're here somewhere. Oh, there they are. There they are. That's when you have these little magnetic trays around. They gather everything. All right. Go ahead and go to our, here's my aileron. I'm going to hold the aileron in place to make it even with the control surface with the end of the wing here. Okay? The aileron said to put it in, according to the instructions, aileron, second hole in on the control arm off of the servo. Second hole in, which is actually the middle hole. Fish that through there and pull that out. And that is almost perfect. Only have to go in maybe once or twice. Hold the control surface in place, make it nice and even. Hold the ball link up against it. If it holds its position, maybe one more time. Yeah, I like that. All right. Flap. All right. Before we do the flap, let's do the other aileron real quick. I'm doing the same process. I'm just going to do it on this side because that's the way the model is. Let me do that real quick. Okay, second hole in. I want to get my flaps in position first. Make sure I got my everything assigned. Doing the exact same process over here, holding the control surface in place, putting that ball link on there. Let's go, this one we're going to go out just a touch. So left to Lucy. That looks pretty good. All right, now what I want to do, flaps are in the outermost position. Okay, let's look at our flap system now. Go to flap system. We're going to highlight it where it flashes. I'm going to pick my button. So is D. All right, now we know where I got our flaps. I'm going to go ahead and move this to a 2-second deployment on this. All right. What I'm looking for, okay, that should be my flaps up position. So as I pull the switch down, then these servos should go forward, pulling those flaps towards me. So let's see what it says about flaps. It doesn't say anything about flaps. So I'm going to go to the outermost hole. Okay. Swing it around. It's not quite long enough. So, out some. You know what? Hold on. Let's do something. Let's go to our flap set system. Okay. All right, let me pause for just a minute. Sorry, a little technical. Okay, we're back. Well, I couldn't wrap my brain around the fact. What I did was, I went ahead and put the settings in the computer for the flap. Went back to the flap system, okay, and I put the flaps up position as a negative 100%. And what that did is it went ahead and moved the servo arm closest to the closing position of the flaps, okay? And that because I was afraid, because if I left it completely neutral, trying to hook up to it, I was going to negate a lot of my movement, and I was going to have to boot this clevis all the way out, and I like to have a stronger connection. So I thought, well, duh, stupid of me, go ahead and make these flaps connect them when they're in the up position, which means the arm of the control arm would be towards the flap. So what that translates to, or towards the wing, is on a spectrum, negative 100%, okay? And then as of right now, for takeoff flaps, is going to be positive 0. And then for landing would be a positive 100, okay? So that's those big barn doors. Now I may play with those settings, but this is just to get it hooked up, okay? So that's 0, negative 100 up, positive 0 for takeoff, and then a positive 100 for landing. All right. So that's that. Now we have. Let's go ahead and. All right, if the plane was flying upside down, let's make sure we got our controls surfaces right. If I went right aileron, if I was flying upside down, all right, that's wrong, because that would make the elevator go up. So the ailerons are wrong. The elevators is right. Ailerons are wrong. And my rudder's wrong. Okay. So let me show you how to reverse all that. And from the backwards view, which is, to me, that's how I have to look at a plane from behind in order to tell what's right. Okay? And you know what? I can take the stand away now. Hopefully. Nope. Nope, you can't see it. All right. Put it on the wings. Put it on the stand here. All right. So now you can see got a good view of my control surfaces. All right, right aileron is wrong. Up elevator is right, and right rudder's right. So rudder's right, elevator's right, but aileron is wrong. So you're going to go to your servo setup, go past travel, you're going to go to reverse. See aileron? You're going to click that. Now look, watch that aileron. Right aileron, left aileron. Elevator's right, down elevator, right rudder, left rudder, and the aileron's right. Now that's how you change your direction. Okay? Now, so that's how I got it set up there. Rates for throws, once again, they have used millimeters up and down. Okay. I wish they would put that in percentages also, but I'll have to get a throw meter, a throw gauge to go by the book, but instead I'm just going to guesstimate. This is a fast jet, so you're not going to want much movement, so I'm probably going to go a low rate of 60% on ailerons, and let's see, how much does that elevator move? That elevator moves a decent amount, so I'll probably go low 60, 60 on the aileron and elevator. Probably go with a low of 80 on the rudder, a mid of 90 on the rudder, and a high of 100. This is how much far it will throw. Mid on the aileron will probably be 70. High will be 80. Probably do the same thing with the elevator. I'll do a mid of 70% and then a high of 80% movement. So let's go ahead and we'll do that for the ailerons. And I've already told you what I'm doing, and I'll do the rest of it off camera. Okay. Rates, you're going to, whenever you want to pick your rates in Expo, first thing you want to do is you pick your switch that you want to change your rates on. So I got it highlighted. I like using the G up here because that gives me 3. And when I have the position furthest away, to me that's the low. So I'm going to pick my low rate right off the bat. And I'm already on aileron, so I'm going to go up here. Okay, position D. I want to go back to G. Okay, already on the low, and I'm going to take my aileron down to 60. Okay, let's look at that. What is it? All right, not much movement, but this is a low rate. Okay, that's fine. And on a jet, I'm going to use 20% expo. I'm going to use 20% expo on everything, just so you know. Now, I'm already got G highlighted. Okay, so I'm going to take the switch and go to the middle position. See how it changed? All right. Go ahead, since it's already there, I'm going to go ahead and put that on 20. And go up here, and I said I'm going to put 70 for my mid. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and do my up position, or it's highest towards me, toward the top. To me, that's the high. And I'm going to change that to 80. Change my expo to 20. All right, so there's low, which is 60%. There's mid, which is 70%. And there's high, which is 80, which I think that's plenty. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. Go ahead and change to elevator. Go ahead and pick your switch. I've got it in the lowest position now. And I'm going to go down to 60. I'm going to put 20. Okay, put it in the middle position. Take that down to 70. 20% expo. And I'm going to pick it up to high and make that down to 80. 20% expo. All right. Now you've seen me do that. You saw how I picked the switch and how I set the rate. Now let's look at high on the elevator. That's a decent amount. Let's look at the middle, which is 70. And then the low is 60. All right, we're going to like, now I'm going to do the same thing But I'm not going to show you. I'm just going to do the rudder. I'm going to pick the rudder. Okay. I'm going to pick the switch, which is G. And I'm going to make, and I'm got it in the high position. And I'm going to pick 100%, 20% expo. Middle will be 90. Mid rate will be 90. 20% expo. Then my low will be 80. With 20% expo. All right, so watch my rudder. Okay, here's the low rate. That's 80. Okay, here's the mid, which is 90, and here's the high, which is 100. Okay, I like a lot of rudder. All right. Now I'm not going to do an elevator to flat mix. I don't know if the instructions call out for one. I'm not seeing anything about an elevator to flat mix. If I do have one, it's going to be pretty minor, probably 5% for takeoff and 11% down elevator for landing. But that I won't be able to tell how well I like that until I fly it. Okay, so I'm going to set my timer up for 3.5 minutes. If you don't know how to do timer, let me just show you real quick how to set your timer up on and this. And the principles I'm showing you in this is works for any model. Okay, the same idea. Go ahead and set our timer here. Timer. One thing I want to be jet, I'm going to go down, take it down to 3. I'm going to do 3.5 minutes. Okay. Next. I like voice on everything except for one. Well, change that to voice. Change that to voice. Change that to voice. Voice. Time expired. I like voice and for it to vibrate. And then just voice. Now, go to the next screen here. Go all, I'm sorry, I skipped it. Go all the way to the very end. See these right here? Unless you like hearing that all the time, inhibit all that. Okay? That way you won't hear it. Now, remember I set my throttle cut. Remember I use the throttle. Nothing's happening. Throttle on. Okay. Now, let's listen. We hit the throttle. Not quite immediate. Not quite immediate. So, let's calibrate our ESC. We already got communication. Everything's working. Okay. Throttle cut off. Our throttle cut on. Going to unplug the battery. Okay. Going to turn my throttle cut back on as if the motor would work. I'm going to put this in high throttle as if full speed. Going to plug it back in. You can't, I'm not, okay. This ESC is so quiet. I could barely hear. I heard the initial 2 beeps, and then as soon as I heard those 2 beeps, I pulled it down, and now, yeah, now I've got immediate thrust. Most ESCs have a very loud, 2 initial loud beeps. As soon as you hear them 2 beeps, pull your throttle all the way down, and then you'll hear the cell count will count how many cells. If this was a 3-cell, it'd be 3 beeps. If it was 4-cell, 4 beeps. If it was 5, you get the idea. Okay, this had 6. But the ESC so quiet, I couldn't even hear. I could barely hear the 6 beeps. So now I've got immediate thrust. So put my throttle cut back on for safety. All right, now we've gone over the rates that I'm going to set up. We've gone over how to do throttle cut. We've gone over how to do ESC calibration. Let's talk about the one most important thing. I'll tell you right now. You're not going to be, if you use it, I'm going to be using a 5,000. Okay? See where I've got that? I'm sorry. You're not going to use a 5,000. You can use a 5,000, but I got a 4,000 in here, and I can't shove this 4,000 back any further. You're not going to be using both of these straps, okay? Unless you've got a 5,000 that's like super, super light. If you look right there, let me take this battery out real quick, just because I want to show you what I did. I've already worked out the CG, but I want to show it to you. I want to show you how to do that. I want to show you my markings. I took my Sharpie. Once I figured out where the CG was, I put a line on the front of the battery, and I wrote what kind of size battery. In this case, it's a 4,000, and from that line pointing back is where I know from now on where I'm going to set a CG, where I'm going to set my 4,000. Now, if I use a heavier battery, a bigger battery like a 5,000, then I'm going to go further back. Remember, the bigger the battery, the heavier, the bigger the battery, the further back it goes. Okay? Right there on the line, I'm going to anchor it back down. Okay. Plug it back in. Okay, and I'm going to put the lid on. CG on this plane is 100 to 105 millimeters back from the leading edge root. Now, the leading edge of a plane is the wing is always that leading edge, but on a jet or any plane that you have a curved wing or an angle like this, the root is where the wing hits the fuselage. That's where you're measuring from. That's always where you're measuring from, okay? 105. So you put your millimeters on there, okay? 105, and that's that furthest black point is the 105 and then 100. So you've got very little variance there. Put your gear up. Always measure with your gear up so you don't fly around with your gear down. Okay? Put it right there. Put it right there. And she CGs ever so perfectly. Right there. Now, this is where a CG machine is effective, because even though you saw it on your fingers and you know it's nice, you're going to, by nature, manipulate that just a little bit because you're trying to balance something on your finger, so you're going to kind of move your finger a little bit. Sorry, I'm going to have my head in your face. But I'm going to put this right between those two marks, the CG machine connector where it touches the plane, right between those two marks. Kind of visual it. Okay. All right. Right there. All right. Make sure I got it right. Okay. Because this, you won't naturally manipulate it. Okay. Put the gear down. See what it does. Just to see. I had a CG perfect. Maybe I've got them. Maybe I have them sitting on there. Okay, move that one just a little bit. Move that one just a little bit. All right, yeah, there we go. Okay, I got it right where. Yeah, it's right between them. Don't touch it, and it's right between them. Now look, that model. If she was flying, she'd be flying perfectly level. Now what I'm kind of hoping is if I put the gear down, I'm hoping she'll go tail heavy just a touch. No, she's gonna go nose heavy just a touch, but that's okay. That's not, you can definitely deal with that. Ideally, with a jet, she's gonna fly along nice and level, and then if you put the gear down, she might go just a touch tail heavy, but just a touch nose heavy is okay too. I just, I would prefer it, but that's fine. The number one thing is what we've achieved right here. Now, to put it on the bottom side, your 100 is right there at that wheel well, and the 105 is inside there. So you would have to put the gear down. I don't know if I can. You have to put the gear down in order for it to fit in there right. And it's actually on the wheel. I don't really like that, but. And then that wheel is going to move a little bit, so it's kind of hard to measure. So you have to do it upside down. All right. So we got the CG. CG is and I actually off camera, I dropped the model and I made a dent here and a dent there, and I tell you, I'm like a bull in a china shop. which isn't good for RC planes. Let's put our gear back down so before I damage it any further. I'm thinking now it's a $329 plane or $300 plane. I'm sitting there treating it terrible. What else? Gone over how to get the flaps. Flap settings I'm going to have to see. It doesn't really say in the manual, so I'm going to go with that -100, +100, +0, and then a +100 for the flap setting and see how I like it. And then I'll work out, when I fly it, I'll work out the elevator to flap mix to see if it needs it. Some planes don't need it at all. You just won't really know. Some planes, they'll tell you in the instructions you have to have it. Well, anyways, oh, dang it. See, I told you, bull and china shop. That's where I've got the Laminar X right there. Bind plug. I love the receivers. They get great range. They're locked in. Obviously, it doesn't have any kind of gyro or anything, but this should be a very stable jet. You really shouldn't need much in the way of gyro because it is stable. It does have a nice trailing link suspension gear, so that's nice. It's just a good looking plane. I'm sure I'm leaving some stuff out, but she's ready to go. Got my rate set, got my flap settings go, got my timer set, I've calibrated the ESC, I've got all my control surfaces are going the right direction. The only thing left to do is me to put my hold the foam treatment on the hinges and give her a clear coat, because this paint is, to me, it looks kind of dry and it would look better with a clear coat. All right, thank you so. Oh, by the way, this is what I use for clear coat, for the treatment, as I like to call it. Polyacrylic. I use a clear gloss. It's about $15 a can. Like my big my big Flightline B25, it took half a can. A model like this, you could probably get 4 models like this out of 1 can. And I just give one solid coat on both sides and let it dry. All right, folks, so there you go. That is the radio setup for the FMS Avanti 70mm. Can't wait to get her out the field and fly her and give you a nice maiden. All right, folks, well, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. God bless y'all. And don't forget, faith, family, and friends. And a shout out to Hobbywing for sending this out to me for a review. Be a link in the video in the description for the purchase of this. There'll be a code there for a coupon code. You can take $10 off the price. I mean, 10 bucks is 10 bucks. It'll help me out, helps the channel, and you get a plane at a better price, and everybody wins. Y'all have a good one. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Turn the camera off.